Mobile device, just head on over to SuperTalk TV. Did you know that one of North America's leading research centers in the field of children's literature is right here in Mississippi? It's in South Mississippi at the University of Southern Miss. It's called the Grummond Children's Literature Collection. And joining us is Miss Karlie to tell us a little bit more. Hey, Karlie.
Hey, Rebecca.
I am ashamed, Karlie. I'm not ashamed that I have 2 degrees from Southern Miss, but I'm ashamed that I got 2 degrees from Southern Miss and had no idea that this wonderful collection was there on our campus. And I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem and that more people need to know about it. So do you feel like it's a hidden gem that is, not enough folks know about this, right?
Well, it's so interesting. Folks here on campus and in town, think of it as a hidden gem, but it's pretty well known outside of the area. So for locally, it's a hidden gem, and I'd really like to change that. I'd love for more people, like students here on campus, to be here all the time.
So tell us about it. It's a collection, but it's also a research center. It's all the things. So how do you help people sort of unpack what the Grummond Children's Literature Collection is?
Yeah, so you can kind of think of it as it's both a library and a museum. We have about 250,000 children's books, and those are all behind lock and key. They don't circulate. They don't leave the library, but anybody can come in and take a look at them and read them here in our McCain Library and Archives reading room. And in addition to our books, we have about 1,400 collections of materials from authors and illustrators and editors and just people who've been involved in the children's literature world. So we have things like the manuscript for A Wrinkle in Time, and we have John Green's manuscripts for The Fault in Our Stars and An Abundance of Catherines, and we have all the materials that went into making the Curious George books and The Snowy Day, and all of that is, anybody from the public can come in and say, hey, I'd really like to see the manuscript for A Wrinkle in Time. And what we'll do is we'll go and pull it from our storage areas that are temperature and humidity controlled, and we'll bring them to the reading room, and you can just sit and enjoy those materials. So anybody can come by and do that.
So it's not necessarily like a museum, Karlie, like you don't just come through and sort of look. You kind of have to have an intention in going, like knowing. So someone like me, I wouldn't even know what to ask for. Could I come up and be like, I want the Karlie special. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I would enjoy sort of seeing, yeah.
I'm sorry. Some people do come in and just say, hey, I just want to see some Curious George stuff, and I'll pull what I think might be of interest. And we do have right now we have 2 exhibitions. One is the John Green materials, and one is a Tasha Tudor art and dollhouse room. So we do have museum-like spaces where you don't have to pick anything. You can just go in and take a look. So that may help visitors who are new.
So, Karlie, how did this happen? Because you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to go collect 250,000, pieces of children's literature and then house them and all things. It feels like this had to stem from, someone's probably passion or hobby and then, snowball into something greater. So how did this even get started?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So in 1966, Dr. Lena Y. de Grummond, she was from Louisiana, and she had retired, and she decided to have a second career, and she came to USM to teach library science. And she was teaching a lot of graduate-level library science classes, and her students were commuting. They were working all day and commuting into Hattiesburg and taking these graduate courses. So she really wanted to give them a really valuable education. And a lot of them were training to be children's librarians, but they'd never seen the materials that go into making a children's book. People think it's really easy. You just, you write out a couple hundred words and you slap some pictures on it and it's ready to go, but it's actually this expensive process of highly skilled artists and writers coming together to create these lasting products. So what Lena did was she just started writing letters to authors and illustrators all over the U.S. and Canada and the U.K., just any addresses she could find. And she would write to them and say, hey, I'm trying to collect materials to ensure that my library science students have a good understanding of how children's books come to be made. And if you've finished making this book, would you mind, donating some of these materials you aren't using anymore to us? And, you're probably going to throw them away anyway. If you throw them in the trash can, send them in the trash can, we'll dig it out. And she was so charming in her letters that people really responded. So folks just started sending her manuscripts, illustrations, just whatever they had, filling up their office spaces at home. And it came to us, and we've been preserving it ever since.
What's the oldest children's book or related to children's literature that you have there?
Our oldest book is a copy of Aesop's Fables from 1530.
That's pretty old.
Yeah.
So if I come in, Karlie, you'd let me see that? Because I feel like that's not something I should see it, but probably shouldn't touch it.
You could see it. You could hold it in your hands. If you want to study some Greek and Latin, you can read it. But yeah, everything is meant to be used. We've kept it so that people can actually experience reading and seeing these materials.
So I would assume that folks, as you mentioned, Karlie, maybe the hometown folks don't realize this hidden gem is there. But do y'all have travelers from all over that come for the collection there at the Grummond Children's Litter the collection? Like, do y'all have people from all over coming down to see what you guys have?
We do, yeah. In part, we have the Fabi Kegler Children's Book Festival in April, and that draws a big crowd, and we'll often get people who are attending that come visit us. But we also get researchers in from all over the U.S. We get a lot of distance patrons from other countries. People will come a long way to see what we've got here.
Where are y'all in terms of in Hattiesburg? Like, if somebody was listening, like, where kind of are you? Are you on campus or connected to campus?
We are on campus. We're in the McCain Library and Archives, and it's directly behind Cook Library. So if you're familiar with the campus, it's between Cook Library and pretty much Hardy Street. There's another building between us and Hardy Street, but if you can find the front of campus, the main gate of campus, you can find us pretty easily.
You were there the whole time, Karlie.
We were here.
How did you find yourself there? This feels like a very unique and specific job for someone's own personal passions. How did you find yourself working there?
Well, USM actually offers a PhD program with a focus on children's literature, in part because the Grummond is here. So I applied for the program and got in back in 2017, and I've been studying children's literature ever since. So in the midst of my PhD, I also acquired a Master of Library and Information Science, and so that put me in a good position to come work here.
What's your favorite piece of the collection, or a favorite piece? Because I know that's a hefty question.
We have something. It's called the Speaking Picture Book, and it's huge. It's a huge book. It kind of looks like a big dictionary in terms of size, and it's got wooden carvings on the sides of it. But it's only about 10 pages long. But what's so interesting about it is it has a pull string for each page in the book, and it makes the sound of an animal. And it's from 1880, and it still works. So it's this amazing piece of book technology that we have here, and I just love to show it to people.
Have there been children's books? I know you mentioned 1530, but as long as there's been books, do people recognize that kids just respond to pictures and, things from when people started reading books?
No, that's such a good question. That is a pretty new phenomenon. Probably the first book to recognize that, because often children were just given words to study or to memorize. So the first book that sort of utilized pictures and appealing to children's attention to images was a book called Orbis Sensualum Pictus. I think it's from the 1600s. We have copies of that. We don't have an original of that. But it was basically teeny tiny little wood blocks to help you learn a word and see the picture of the word. So it's like early vocabulary building. And since then, it's kind of caught on, and it wasn't until about the 1850s that people started making books just for children to enjoy with lots of pictures and fun stories.
And now we can enjoy them at the Grummond Children's Literature Collection right there on the USM campus. I am so proud that it's there and sad that I will have to come by and see it, though, Karlie.
Please do.
I appreciate your time. And, people can go to your website to find out more about it, degrummond.org. But thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming.